I'd have to consider what the post office, would offer as a, what they would think would be right, and then just take a look at that. Because right now I have a new job. I've moved on, in the 4 years since, and I'm content there. It's working with delivering the mail again at a local company with the retirement community. I have 300 mailroom volunteers who help me to deliver the mail for all the residents who live on a 250-acre campus. And so I enjoy doing that each day. So I'd have to think about whether it's a good idea for me to go back to the post office. It was truly a very difficult and painful experience. Early on in the process, my postmaster told me that they were thinking of skipping steps in the disciplinary process and jumping right from like a letter of warning at the beginning to termination within a matter of weeks. And so I lived for what we now know was 2 years or so, but I lived that whole time, thinking today could be the day that you report to work and you're fired. So it was very difficult to get up each day and to report to the post office thinking today could be the day I'm shown the door.
What the court should be looking at is whether there's undue hardship to the business itself. So significant difficulty or expense for the employer. And so one of the things that the Supreme Court is looking at is whether you can look at the effect on other employees as part of undue hardship. And it's our argument that that's really not what the statute says. That's not what the statute means. Mm-hmm. But I think more interesting than that are the actual facts of the case, where Gerald's experience with his coworkers was very positive. And I don't know if you want to comment on that, Gerald.
Sure. I mean, I actually had some of my fellow employees would approach me at times and tell me that, they can't believe the post office is doing this to me, that it's wrong. And I actually had people who were willing to work for me on Sundays that I was scheduled. They stepped up and said they'd be glad for the hours. So the idea that there was a problem in the office or whatever, aware of that, there was more of support. I was willing to do whatever I could to accommodate the post office in a sense. If I was not going to work on Sunday, I would do everything I could to work the other 6 days of the week to support my coworkers. So on a Saturday, if we're short on a route, I would go do my full route and then go back and do even more by taking out another portion of a route, just to say, I may not work on Sunday, but I'm doing my part during the week. Or I would work on a holiday. Most people had to work every other holiday delivering Amazon parcels, but I would work every holiday. So if someone was thinking that I wasn't there on a Sunday, I could remind them that I worked Thanksgiving for them so that they were with their family that day.
Yeah, a good ruling from the Supreme Court that's protecting the religious liberty of employees, it's going to help everyone. And think about it the way that you do with freedom of speech. Freedom of speech for the person next to you to be able to speak is your freedom to be able to speak. And the same is true with religious freedom and religious freedom in the workplace. And so having a standard in place that allows you to live out your faith in the workplace, it's going to benefit everyone. I think it's colorful and interesting that this case arises out of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and you think of the Amish, you think of the Mennonites, and you think of a place where people of a whole lot of different backgrounds came together, recognizing the need to give each other space to be who they are. And that melting pot in Pennsylvania, the original vision that William Penn had for religious liberty, and that was grabbed hold by our founders, is the very issue that we have here. And now, since 1977, courts have been getting this issue wrong and really undercutting the ability of employees to be able to live out their faith in the workplace and to be able to just simply follow their conscience. And we're hoping that the Supreme Court takes a look at this case and restores religious liberty. it's interesting too that when Congress passed this law, one of the main things that was in view was the ability for people to be able to take off on a Sabbath. One of the senators was talking about how he took a Saturday Sabbath, and his expectation was that this statute was going to be able to help others like him to be able to not have to choose between um, following their faith and keeping their job. I think it's worth people understanding that Gerald was really a model employee, and the post office didn't gain anything by pushing him out. It's not like with Gerald gone, suddenly there are tons more people to be able to work on Sunday. Instead, they were able to make it work in the past. They were able to accommodate Gerald before they decided not to accommodate Gerald. We know that it could work because it did work, but what the post office is missing out on now is a really good employee who was willing to work every holiday, willing to do a shift and a half, willing to go out there in terrible weather and do whatever needed to be done. He was a model employee who got along with everyone. The post office is not in a better place or in a worse place, but that helps us to better understand, like, what do we do here in America? We just try to make things work for people. Unfortunately, the post office wasn't, but we've got a path forward. And if we breathe life back into this existing law, it'll be better off for folks like Gerald Groff being able to live out their faith in the workplace, so that there's that kind of give and take that makes it work for everyone.